What's up, guys? So, agenda for today is what is tiny file problem in Databricks? What happens when we process tiny files? How to overcome tiny file problem? And we will see a practical demo in Databricks. So what is tiny file problem? A tiny file problem refers to a situation where a large number of small files are stored in a distributed file system such as your HDFS. So that's if we store a large number of tiny files in a distributed fashion, that's what a tiny file is. So we will see the example in Databricks in later demo. So what happens when we process your tiny files? So it would increase our metadata overhead. So most of the time, the Spark engine would process the metadata. So it goes on data discovery mode and it just looks at the file instead of processing that file. So it increases the metadata overhead. Inefficient data processing, of course, the processing small file would incur overhead due to the overhead of opening or reading or closing file. This could also lead to slower data processing and could decrease definitely would decrease your system performance. It would reduce your throughput. Your file systems are optimized for handling large files efficiently. So if your large number of small files are reduced, overall throughput and your scalability due to increased overhead in managing and processing this time, these files would definitely get reduced. So that's what would happen. So how to overcome your tiny file problem is apply your file compaction. So do some use some tool or write code to merge those small files into one before processing before ingesting that to Spark. And even you can use some batching or coalescing technique. So writing data to storage and then batching smaller units of data together to create a large file. So let's say the example on Databricks. So let's jump into Databricks now. So let's say if I run this code like this spark.read.csv, and then if I say the job, and then if I go on this SQL query and then expand. So here we can see our size of our file is 4.9 GB. However, if we look at the number of files read is 98,191, and our each file size is around 16 KB. So this is an example of tiny file problem where my file size is total size is 4.9, but each file, if you see, like 98,000 files is being created with each having in 16 KB of files. So this would definitely cause my processing to be very it would take really long time to run this code. So this is a very poor way of writing, poor way of running the code if you are running in based on your tiny files that you have. So we can even see the metadata time. It takes around 1.1 second to read one file. So let's say if we have 98,000 files, then it would mean like even reading your metadata, it takes much time than processing. And so this is the example of tiny file, and to avoid, try to merge those files into batches, and and then try to avoid the tiny file issues while processing your Spark job. So that's it for today's video. Hope you like my video, and please encourage me to create more videos. Thank you. Bye.